Right, so...
Welcome back.
Welcome back to episode... 14.
14.
I was thinking then,
Welcome back to the episode after the last one. That's all I know. Yeah, 14 in it, yeah. Have we done 14 so far?
I feel like it feels like we've done loads.
I don't feel like I've done that many. I feel like we're veteran podcasters now. How many do you need to do to be a veteran?
I don't know, 50.
She's like, what's a veteran?
I was thinking that. Does that mean long term?
Is that somebody that don't eat meat? No, that's a veteran. A veteranitarian, Leah.
Veteranitarian.
Oh god, let's not go down that road.
We're long-term podcasters now.
We're long-term, yeah, veterans. That's what a veteran is.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. We're veterans.
Well, I think obviously a veteran is somebody that has been in the army and then left, but I think you can apply it to normal life as well. I believe.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm a veteran of the BB game. I think it's just like an old person in the job. I think. Maybe. Okay. Anyway, sorry to any veterans that we might have upset in the forces if that was the wrong thing to say. Do apologise. But let's move on. We've got a lot of questions for today, so we're going to have some chats on this, yes?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. We've got a good few questions through about, like, we've got some on bodybuilding, some on competing, some on life, some on...
Life?
I think that's it.
Don't take no life advice from me. You'll end up in the bin like me.
Oh, God. Anyway... Oh. Sorry.
Just crack the screen. We've now got no more questions. So we're going to freestyle this one now. And she's off to the phone shop to get a new case. Right.
Anyway, I'm getting my questions up.
Okay.
Bear with me. Let me find my questions. So, we're just going to...
She's not prepared.
No, I am prepared. Give me 2 seconds. I only put the question box on yesterday, so it's right at the top of the list. Okay. We've got some good ones.
Yes.
Question number 1.
Oh, we're numbering them now. This is number 1.
I feel like I'm interviewing
I was back at school then.
You're making me laugh.
Can
today.
I just have a tick box?
I feel like you're extra funny today.
I'm stoned.
Just have a tick
I'm
box.
stoned.
Is that too much caffeine?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's because it's earlier. That's what it is.
Normally we
record
at 2.
We're normally at 2 out. We've got here at
10.
I die off in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The morning, I'm just a nightmare to anybody who I'm present with. Then by 2 o'clock, I'm like, just fucking leave me alone.
You have had a coffee and a Diet Coke as well.
Yeah.
Probably caffeined up.
Oh, yeah. Did we talk about this last time? We Googled how much caffeine is actually in it.
Yeah, it was like 30 grams or something, didn't you say?
No, I think it was like, I can't remember, I've already forgotten now. I'm sure it was like 70 in a can of pop.
It doesn't actually say on here.
No, they don't say. Cheeky bastards. I think I Googled it to see what was actually in it, and it was quite a lot. Because I drink that caffeine-free Pepsi Max now.
Oh, do you?
Every night, my routine, I'll have a couple of glasses of Pepsi Max after my tea. And I've switched to the one that doesn't taste as good, but I get better sleep. You know the one with the gold top on?
Yeah,
Pepsi Max
maybe I
Gold.
should do that, because I have Pepsi Max in the evening as well.
There's
I have the
way
normal
more
one,
caffeine in than what you think there is.
but I still sleep fine.
Yeah,
Like
I
a
thought
log.
that. Actually, I didn't think that. That's why I stopped. I used to sleep fine until stress gets high, and then any little thing that I can sort out, let's cut it out or whatever. But yeah, there's plenty of caffeine in here. I just had a coffee, and I had one this morning, and it's in the morning.
Oh God, you double caffeine, triple caffeine. Anyway, oh God, before we go on a tangent. Right, you ready?
Yeah. Can you tell? Go. Well,
This one's...
Speak to me.
That's going to be the cover.
Yeah, that's the cover of that.
Tips on comparing yourself to other people you know you'll be up against in your show, which I feel like we've touched on this a little bit before.
Fucking mute them in it.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like a lot of people do this with looking at people, but the thing is, right, you never know. Sometimes you'll see people.
I've got a story in my head. It's all right. That's why I'm
You're
smiling.
just smiling
I'm not
at
just
me.
randomly smiling at you. I'm like, just a story pops through. As soon as you started talking, a story just come in my head. I thought, I've got to wait till she stops talking now.
Do you want to just tell your story now?
No, it's actually a shit story. It's not really a story. You talk, but it's funny.
No, I was just saying, people always look so different in person and on stage to what they look like. You'll see some people and they look really, really good, and then you see them on stage and you're like, oh, they look really different. Yeah. And you never see truly what, like, everyone's like this on prep, you never see truly what you look like. You'll like have a bit of a warped opinion of what you actually look like.
Yeah. There's a few different factors at play. And like, there's so many physiques that look great stood on their own.
Yeah.
And then vanish in a lineup. And there's so obviously I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, like, and I learned this actually early on from myself. So I was in my personal opinion of myself, which probably is different to what everyone else's is usually, isn't it? But I didn't look great stood by myself. So whenever I took pictures or anything like that, I looked all right. Do you know what I mean? But nothing like special. Whereas when I went and stood in a lineup, I really stood out in the lineups, and that's why I ended up doing really well as a competitor. Because in the like, there's so many people you would think that would just absolutely smoke me on stage, and then when I go stand next to them, it was just a completely different thing. So I learned quite early to just pay no attention really to that, and I always just have this thing in the back of my head like, it'll be all right on the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be all right on the day, because when we get on stage, it'll be a different story.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit of self-confidence or whatever, I don't know, but and I'm the same with clients now. So any of you lot that are doing this and doing that, like, I see other people competing or doing your shows and whatnot, and I just think
you never know.
We'll see what happens on stage. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we'll see what happens on stage. And even like, so like going back to what happened yesterday, actually with Lisa, funnily enough, like they all come out on stage, and there was one woman that really stood out in the lineup. She ended up coming second, and I straight away when I seen her, I thought, bastard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the judges thought this, because obviously you'll do this when clients come out. I'm like,
I'm
weighing out who's beating who and who's going where and whatnot. I seen this one woman, I thought, bastard. And the judges thought the same thing. Obviously, they didn't think bastard. They put her straight to the centre.
Yeah.
Right. And then they went and stood Lisa next to her. Right. As soon as Lisa stood next to her, gone. It was game over.
Oh, that's all right.
She smoked her. Do you know, no disrespect to the woman, but she was a lot better than her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then as soon as the judges clocked that, they put her straight in. So even when they're all on stage at different ends of the stage, it can be thingy, but it's all about when you get stood next to somebody. And like, you can have someone who looks like they've got so much of a better shape, so much of a better structure, blah, 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 blah. And this happens a million times. You throw them on stage, where they're gone.
Yeah, and I always think as well, like I think you've said this before, but you'll always get drawn towards the area that you know is maybe lacking on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And you get like hyper focused on that one area.
Yeah.
But then you forget like what you look like overall. But then you might be comparing like your weak area to someone else's like strong area, and you think, oh my God, their glutes are so much better than mine, or their shoulders are loads rounder, and you think, oh, they look so much better. But then you're forgetting about overall what you look like when you're actually on stage.
People get drawn into like little details, like things that do matter, but don't always, like tie-ins is something that I never, all my life is just talking about fucking tie-ins. I swear to God. My tie-ins. It's like, obviously, it's good to have it, and it's good if you've got all the rest of it, but it's not the be-all and end-all of a first, second, third. It's fucking not. Do you know what I mean? And I used to do it with shredded glutes. Don't get me wrong. I used to be like, because my glutes was very, very hard to get, like, stripey shredded. And I did it 1 year when I really drove myself in, and I just destroyed the rest of my physique. I was just having this conversation yesterday, and I destroyed every other body part to get them where they needed to be. And I didn't do very well in the show. And I was the leanest I'd ever been. Yeah. So you've got to, I mean, that's a bit of a subject really, but it's something I was just talking about yesterday, funnily enough, with somebody that was talking about glutes. But yeah, like for me, my brain's quite straightforward. I just mute out. I'm not competing in this area, but I just mute people. So the last show I did was 2019. I was on Instagram. Anyone who was against all these other pros and that were doing what, I just muted them.
Yeah.
And I never thought about them again until I got there on stage. People who I didn't know was doing stuff. I thought one person in particular that was going to smoke me, and I beat him. It's
you never really know.
No, it's not even worth thinking about. It's not worth your time.
And you can't control that anyway. It's like, I always think,
that's the other thing, it's out of your control.
Yeah, you can't control it. So there's absolutely no point worrying about it. And like, it's probably going to make you more stressed by actually stressing about what everyone else is doing. So just focus on, as long as you're doing what you need to be doing, and you're improving, and you look the best you can be, like, you can't do anything else anyway. So you may as well just
it can send you down a rabbit hole. And this goes for coaches who are watching this as well. It can send you, or could send you down a rabbit hole of chasing certain things for you or your client that don't necessarily be needed to make them look the best. To try and beat somebody else's good attribute. That is, do you get what I mean? So if you got somebody coming into a show, say I had like, make two names up, Sarah coming into a show, and then there was Jacqueline, that isn't my client, competing in the show. Sarah is fantastic. She's big, she's round, she's got everything, like shape's amazing, she pops, blah, 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 blah. Don't get granite hard, right? She's more of a Is that vibrating? More of a rounder, fuller physique, blah, blah, blah. But obviously still gets conditioned, but not like granite. And then you've got Jacqueline come in, who's competing against Sarah, and you know she looks like a piece of granite, right? But she's not as round, she's not got this, she's not got that, blah, blah, blah. Do I try and make Sarah look like a piece of granite to match up with Jacqueline?
Yeah.
Or do I just put her in at her best strengths?
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to go. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing it as a coach and looking at people, and I did make a little bit of this mistakes early on, like we all do, of trying to think, oh, this person's coming, so I'm going to have to make sure I've got this, make sure blah, blah, blah. And that's not the game. You need to just play to your strengths, or if you're a coach, your client's strengths, blah, blah, blah. Because what makes them good might be their granite conditioning, but they've not got the overall. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think you said this like to me a little bit when I was competing last time. You were like,
play to your strengths.
Yeah, like if you're going to get leaner, but you're going to lose that part of your physique, what's really good, is it worth like sacrificing that to get that bit, like your legs a bit leaner or whatever?
And sometimes that's a trial and error. Don't get me wrong. You've got to sometimes try and go there to see if you can go there and whatnot.
Yeah, because you never know. You might do it and actually it might be,
it might
look
pull
better.
Off all right. So it's just finding that balancing act. But I mean, we're on tangents now from what the actual question was. But realistically, so just to bullet point that for the person who's worried about it, it never ends up like it is on stage, like it is on Instagram. Absolutely not. I've seen some of these mind-blowing, internet-breaking physiques turn up and just vanish in lineups and come out fourths and fifths all the time. I've seen that happen a million times. I've seen people who you think, they look all right, turn up and win everything.
Yeah.
That's happened such a number of times. And so you never know that's going to work out. So just have faith that you're bringing your best package, which is that's the only thing you've actually got control of as well. Just stay in control of what you've got control of, and that's it. Mute people. I tell all my clients, just mute them. What I was laughing at in my head was one time this client sent me a picture of herself, and then the person who I was competing with, a check-in, and I fucking nearly blew my lid. I just like, why have you sent me that?
Yeah, because it throws your head off as well.
Well, just like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your spare time? Where you sat at home taking your picture and someone else's picture and putting them together? What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking just mute them, for God's sake. I can't remember who it was. It was a couple of years ago, but they never did it again.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had to do that. I don't think I've ever really done that, to be fair. Like,
no, I definitely know. I've never done that.
No.
That's what I started thinking about when you started talking. I just remembered that incident. I don't even remember who the client was, actually. It was a while ago. But you've got no control over it. Yeah. Don't let it change your game plan. Definitely not. You should be aiming for whatever your best physique is, and then you're going to go compete against whatever they bring, which might be their physique or not. Anything can go wrong as well. Like, I've seen people coming in and they're looking super strong, and then they've just fucked the peak up. Yeah. Or they fall off the bandwagon 2 weeks out and they don't quite recover from it. Yeah. Or they get really nervous on show day and they get all or the posing shit. Or like just there's so many different things going on. Yeah. Like, just never write yourself off. Just bring your best. Make sure your posing's bang on. Make sure you've done your tan properly. Make sure your makeup's nice. Don't fucking do mad shit with your hair and put massive earrings in. Just make sure your overall presentation is amazing. And then you'll be fine. Whatever will be, will be. The cards will land how they're going to land. That's how they're going to land anyway. Yeah. Worrying about it's not going to change nothing. It's so easy to say, just don't worry. But like... Yeah,
it's like human nature though, isn't it? It's like with business. Like, I think some people just naturally...
Well, for me, if I knew somebody was doing something, and this is actually going... So we're going back into the olden days now. So pre-social media... 2008, 9, 10, whenever it was when I was competing. What they used to do on the NABA website was each qualifier, because you could only compete in your area, after the areas, they'd put up the winners.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd be on there looking to see what the tall class bodybuilders guys winners look like. And I'd be thinking, fuck me, they look good. You know what I mean? And my qualifier was always second to last from the finals, because you'd only do that qualifier. Yeah. And it just drive me like fuck. I'd just be on the Stairmaster or the treadmill or in the squat rack or whatever. Yeah. Just mad. I'm not getting beat. And it just drove me like crazy. It never put me off. If in fact it sent me crazy the other way. Like my training would be crazy, or I'd be doing my cardio, imagining my back shot stood next to their back shot. Yeah. And I used to do all crazy things. Like I'd be imagining us all doing a back double bicep and all the audience just laughing at my fat hamstrings. That's what I used to think about when I was training. And I'd be on my cardio just suffering, thinking, no, I'm not going to get fucking laughed at. Like, just driven to death like that. So it actually sent me a rocket up my ass anyway.
Some people go that way and some people go the other way.
Yeah, but then and I'd look at myself and then I'd look at these mad physiques and I'd think, fuck me, do you know what I mean? I've no chance. And then 10 up and they wouldn't even get a top 6 at the British. They'd end up like in third call-outs or whatever. Obviously in the days when there was like 5 call-outs because there was like 25 of us or whatever. And I was always in first call-outs and like 3 call-outs later they'd get pulled out.
Yeah.
And it always ended up working out like that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah.
So if you want to use it for anything, use it for some fucking fuel.
Yeah, and you can apply it to anything, right? It's like rather than getting down about it or worrying about it or doing it in a negative way, like think, like use it to drive yourself.
Yeah, you like mentioned business and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like for me, I don't know about you, but I never look at like other people who are doing, I don't know, my job. If I was looking to look at some of the other coaches and be like, oh, they look like they've got loads of clients.
Well, you can get into a bit of a victim mentality with that if you let yourself.
Like, I just want to get around that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I want to be like, what are they doing?
You want to learn off it.
Yeah, what they're doing, what they're like, chat with them, see how things are going. Like, I'm not going to like then go home and be like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, I'm my own person anyway. I'm not going to copy off anybody, but like, I need to be pushing out there a bit more. I need to be making sure, because like you've got usually falling down in areas which are not your strong. So like me, believe it or not, I fucking don't really like social media very much. If I was left to my own devices, I'd never post nothing because I just if I didn't coach, I wouldn't even have social media. I wouldn't even be on the bastard because it drives me around the bend. But I've got to be on there, so I just got to make sure I'm posting every day, morning and night, whether it be once a day or twice a day or whatever it might be. I've got to make sure I'm making the effort to book into videographers with Nikita and what have you to do that. I'm going to make sure I'm doing these with you. Like all of these things are forced to me. Like it's not something that I really want to be doing. But then actually you get into it. Do you know what I mean? I actually enjoy it when I'm doing it. Yeah. But bringing myself to post and that all the time. So social media is my downfall. For me, I just want to be coaching.
Yeah.
I just want to be coaching with my clients, fucking doing what we're doing, making them look better, bam, 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 bam. And Shannon's like, you need to show it on like, because obviously, as we know, Shannon is my boss. Yeah. So you need to show it. You need to make sure you show it. And then I'm like, and then every now and again, I'll just get a message, Dan, you need to post something up. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell, all right.
At least she's on you there. That's good.
She's fucking on me. I don't need to, I employ her, but she chases me. That's literally what she's there for. And I've left her alone, actually, because she's in the trenches at the minute getting fucking, she's like a couple of weeks out or whatever. And I'm pushing her quite hard. We're going to new levels of conditioning to where she's ever been because she's moving up a category. And I'm drilling her pretty hard, to be fair. And I just thought last week, I'm not messaging her asking for nothing. Yeah. She can have this time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Next day, message pops up. Where's the real covers for these? She's a machine. She's a fucking machine. Where's the real covers with these? I was like, well, just giving you some space, to be honest, Shad. She's like, fuck that, we've got shit to do. I'm like, all right. So then she sent me like 3 reel covers of her because she makes all my reel covers for the reels that I put on or whatever it is on things. Because I don't know how to do it. We've got a shared Canva account and she just makes them. I go in there and download them.
Got a little team going on.
Yeah, she's fucking class. She's fucking class.
Amazing. Do you want to read your next question? We can alternate. You've got some questions. You've lost your phone.
Lost it. I liked your questions.
Do you want me to read my next one while you're getting yours out?
It's all right because I screen printed them.
Oh, okay.
I believe I screen printed them. Right. I think we should do your questions because... And bless her, shout out to Charlotte, thank you for these ones. These are all questions for me, whereas I feel like the ones that you've got are for them.
Okay.
So I think we should do yours because I'd rather answer some...
We can do that.
Instead of people just asking me questions about my own stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously we put that in there, but I'd rather have it where it's helping somebody for what they want
about
to know.
Their topics. Okay, so this one... Okay, I'm just going to read the question, then we'll go through it. What should my ideal weight be? I've lost 30 pounds. If more muscly, will I weigh more than the BMI ideal suggests? So, I mean, the first part of the question, we can't really answer because we don't know from that what someone's ideal weight is going to be. But in regards to the BMI, like... I mean,
BMI's bollocks. Like, we all know that.
Yeah.
BMI is just something that's made up by the government. There's a set numbers. It doesn't take anything into account of like structure, muscle size, density, anything like that. Like if you take 2 people that are like, so I'm 6 foot, right? You might take Martin, that's 6 foot, built like a fucking beanpole.
Yeah.
You might take Derek, that's 6 foot, shoulders this fucking wide. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't really go off BMI for them reasons. If you've got any muscle on your body, it kind of starts writing it off anyway. Don't get me wrong, and this is something that is misinterpreted quite a lot by people, like especially bodybuilders, where like, yeah, BMI is bullshit because I'm 17 stone and I'm 5'7", but I'm fucking shredded. That muscle's still putting a lot of straight onto your heart. So like, let's not get that confused, because that is actually in some instances worse than the fat, because you've got blood to pump through the muscle tissue as well. Not that I'm discouraging it, but there is an element of that. So let's not get mistaken to say that there isn't. And that was coming from from a cardiologist, that a conversation. You know what I mean? That's not just plucked out of thin air. That was a legit.
It is a lot of stress on your body having a lot of muscle, isn't it?
Yeah, because
like a lot of
it's
muscle.
more blood pumping around, and it's more work for the heart and all the rest of it. It was just a conversation I had a few years ago with a cardiologist guy that I was talking to. Anyway, and he wasn't like discriminating against bodybuilders or anything. He was just clever. Do you know what I mean? So I was listening to him. But BMI as a general is a bullshit. Like, I think for my height, I'm meant to be, I'm sure it's like 12.5 stone or something like that.
Yeah.
Which that would have been what I would have been roundabout at before I started training, to be fair. But don't let that guard you, because you'll end up hacking your body to death trying to stay within a boundary that doesn't really need to exist.
I think even mine, like, I think when I looked at mine, I'm like on the borderline of like the normal to overweight bit.
Yeah.
And like, I wouldn't say I'm by any means like over, looking at me like I'm not overweight.
Definitely not. No, you're in great shape,
so,
and all the rest of it. But so BMI, you can throw that out the window. Your ideal body weight is what you're comfortable at. So it's more like a body fat level with an amount of muscle tissue that you're happy and comfortable with. You're not putting yourself in any danger by being that, unless you're trying to be a super heavyweight bodybuilder. You're not putting yourself in any danger by having some muscle.
Yeah.
Muscle's very healthy to have. Muscle will make you live longer. Muscle will make you have a more comfortable life as you get older. I mean, obviously we're talking about now, but when you start going into 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, having more muscle tissue will keep you alive longer. It will make you function better for longer. It'll make you have a more comfortable life because you'll be stronger and all the rest of it. It'll keep your bones stronger. Like, all of these things have got massive positives to them. So don't listen to any of that. If you've lost 30 pounds, if you're going to gain some muscle, if you gain some muscle and you're still not happy with the way you look, then you just need to lose a little bit more weight. Do you know what I mean?
But it's just going through that process, isn't it? Of like, lose a little bit of body fat, see how you're feeling. Because there's no set weight that I think anyone should be. It's more like, because it's going to be so relevant to that person. And
it's relevant to them because they're obsessed with the progress on the track that they're on with them weights. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas like, nobody, I ain't got my weight written here.
Yeah,
like,
no one.
If I didn't tell you, nobody knows what you are. Like, obviously I know what you weigh. I do your check-ins every week. But like, I wouldn't know what Leah weighs. I just know she looks great, and that bit I wouldn't think no more about it. Do you get what I mean? So like, and that'd be the same with you. And if you're not happy with the way you look, that's not dictated by your body weight. I
literally have this conversation with clients all the time, because I get so many girls that have never done that process of building muscle, and they'll lose weight, and obviously it's great because they're saying, oh my God, I've lost 20 pounds, I've lost 15 pounds, whatever. And then you start bringing them the other way, because I'm like, right, we need to get like some muscle on you to get you the look that you want, which is like, that tone. Yeah, the look that a lot of females want.
For those that don't know, to look toned, you need muscle.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying you need to look like Ronnie Coleman. You don't need to be a big bodybuilder, but you need muscle on your frame to look toned, because that's what toned means. It's toned muscle.
Yeah, you can basically, the muscle is visible. So you're not going to get that like shape toned figure that you want from just dieting. And I have this conversation with so many women all the time where it's like, they're so scared of seeing that scale weight come up, and then they associate that with them going back to their start point.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that comes up so many times, and it's like, if you actually spend that time building the muscle up, yes, your weight's going to go up, but it's not bringing you backwards. It's still moving you forwards.
And I think that's a generational thing that's come from our mothers and fathers' days.
Yeah, because it was just so like,
weight loss, blah, 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 and all that. And obviously like the women in the 90s and stuff and 80s, which is when obviously my mother was like our age-ish in the 80s or whatever. That was all it really was. But I think as the generation goes on from our children's next generation, obviously we know more. Yeah. There's a lot more education on it. I think that'll just die away.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it's drilled into your head from being young, and all the TV adverts when we was kids as well about body weight. Like, the body weight just doesn't mean shit. You just need to try and figure out how to make yourself happy with how you look. One thing that I'll insist on with people like that, especially, is measurements. Yeah. Because if you're gaining weight and your waist is staying the same or getting smaller, or even if it's coming up slightly, like, you'll know it's not what's going back to what it was before. And obviously, like, you can see your thighs are getting bigger on the thing, and you like round your bum measurements or whatever it might be. Yeah. And your arm measurements and whatnot. Like, your proportions are changing. And just take photographs over the time.
Yeah, the photos are the best. I've got
cliche to death, isn't it? But you see it on Instagram and it's like this 12 stone versus this 12 stone. And it's like two completely different ways.
I literally did that with a client the other day, and she went through that process of like, she lost a lot of weight, and we had to proper run her into the ground to like, she's just a lifestyle client, but trains hard, like does a lot of weight training, but we had to like go quite hard to get her, and then she just stopped. She just got to the point where she wasn't responding. I was like, look, I think we're going to have to reverse back up because we're not going to get anywhere here. And she did put a fair amount of weight on and did maybe gain a bit more weight than she wanted, but this time we've gone in and she looks so good. Like we've barely had to do anything, and the weight's coming off. Before, and she now is the same weight, and she looks so different. Like her shape has changed. She's eating like, I think 1900 calories a day, which for her is like pretty decent. So it just shows, I did it the other day, and the difference, exactly the same weight, but the difference is like amazing, and you can just see how much it's actually changed her.
Yeah, it's mad. I had actually a similar thing, even with bodybuilding.
I love it.
She'd had some time off bodybuilding, this woman, and then she'd come back and we're just pumping her calories and pumping her calories. And her weight just keeps like going up a pound, coming down 2 pounds, going up a pound, coming down, and she's like getting lighter. And she's like, I meant to be getting, she's a little bit more like of the older school. She's like, I meant to be putting on weight, and I just, no matter how much I'm eating, what you're giving me doesn't seem to. And so I got her start pictures, and I got her pictures from like literally 3 months in, and she's like double the size in muscle, but leaner as well. And she's like, fuck me, I didn't see that. I'm like, this is like, stop panicking, man. You're like improve. Like this is, people would pay the life for this. Like you're getting leaner and bigger at the same time. Like just keep going. It's the dream, isn't it? That doesn't happen normally to people. Yeah, so she was like, all right, I see it now. Yeah,
no, it's cool. That's why the photos are so good though, isn't it? 'Cause it's like the weight really.
Yeah, the weight, it's one of many indicators. You know, obviously, you've got your main three, haven't you? You've got your visuals, your measurements, and your body weight. And it's not... And we're all guilty of it, getting tied to the scales, especially when we're dieting and stuff like that, and why aren't I dropping out and this and that, and like... Don't get me wrong, a lot of the time, if you hadn't dropped weight, then you hadn't necessarily changed. But like a lot of the time, things are still moving. I'll see this on bodybuilding stuff on the first half of preps, which is why I'm insistent on measurements with people, and I'm really keen on making sure everyone does that, because you'll get a big recomp shift sometimes at the beginning where they're coming in and the scale ain't really doing now. It'll come down a pound, come up 2 pound, come down 3 pound, go up 2 pound, and it just bobs about a lot like that, or just stays still. But then, because they're still carrying a decent amount of body fat, you can't really see it yet massively. Especially through a video or pictures, but the measurements are just coming down. Do you know what I mean?
So you know things are moving in that direction.
So you've got that indicator, because what the mistake some people make if they're not taking measurements on the first half of a prep is that, fuck, the weight's not changing, and I can't really see now. I'll just pull the food. And that's the worst thing you can do, because you're just cutting some of your weapons out early on the prep. And that's why I'm a massive insister on the measurements. I made the mistakes when I was first started coaching. I'm just waiting pictures. Think, fuck me, why's that happening to this person? But really, they're recomping to death. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
especially if you get someone as well that they're not training. Like I've got loads of women who they'll start training with me, and I'll get the form videos, and I'm like, you look like you're doing a warm up set. Like I've got them training properly, and then they start changing. But then the weight might come up a bit, because obviously they're actually starting to train hard, gaining a bit of muscle, but they're looking better. Obviously, it's just a bit of a slow process. It's not like fat loss sometimes where it comes off quite quick, but they're looking better, but then the weight starts coming up. But it can affect things because they're actually training properly versus they've spent all these years like not training properly, kind of faffing about a bit, dieting loads.
Yeah, and the weight, don't they?
Yeah, the weight sometimes starts to come up a bit, doesn't it, when they first get into that, if they're training properly.
Yeah, it's almost like they've just really put the key in.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, press the pedal. Yeah, they've just been hovering, just sat in the car before that, and then they just go. Yeah, I love it when they get that. Yeah, especially when they get their eyes open to training as well.
Yeah,
I don't think most people know really what training hard is, and I'll do the same as you. I'll look at it and I'll think, I don't know if that's a warm up set or not.
Yeah.
So I just ask them.
Yeah,
I just go, you have to send me your main sets. Is that a warm up set? And then sometimes they'll go,
and they're like,
right,
oh, okay, right.
Or sometimes they'll go, yeah, that was my warm up, and I'm thinking, maybe just it don't really matter. I've told them what I need to tell them, whether they was warming up or not. I don't know. So no, I need your top sets because otherwise I can't see how hard you're training.
Yeah.
And they're like, you look like you had 8 more reps. Like, right, okay, I get the point.
And then I'm like, right, apply that to all of your other exercises you're doing. But then you start doing that, you get someone training properly, and then you put a bit of food in, and the weight might start coming up, and they freak out, but they're doing all the right things to improve. It's just they've got to roll with it for a bit longer to get the progress.
It's hard for them to go against that instinct, I suppose. After you've been programmed a certain way for all them years.
Yeah.
All the adverts on TV for weight loss, weight loss. There's never any adverts for body recomposition changes.
No. It's quite a hard thing though to wrap your head around, isn't it? Like I think back to when I was younger and I'm thinking, God, if I want to improve what I look like, but I'm seeing the scale weight come up, like it would mess your head up a little bit thinking about
that's what you're programmed into, yeah. And then obviously it's really easy for us because we're just used to doing that all the time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you forget that it's not.
You have to break it down and explain it a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Right, question number 3. I like this question. How do you support a partner on prep without telling them when they're being a knob without getting their head chopped off? This is split into 2 questions, and the second part says, ting your head chopped off, ? And I was like, what is that question?
Ting your head?
Ting your head chopped off.
Oh, getting your head
And then I realised it was the follow-on. I was like, what's ting your head chopped off?
It's some like cool talk. Ting your head. Ting your head.
Yeah, how do you support a partner on prep and tell them when they're basically an idiot without getting your head chopped off? This is a really tough scenario, I feel like, because you don't want to, you understand that they're probably going through a lot of stress with the prep. It's person
dependent, but on the other hand, it don't give them the reason just to be a dick for no reason.
Yeah.
Me personally, when I was on prep, my biggest problem with anyone that I was with at the time is that I'd just go silent.
Yeah.
I just didn't speak. She just couldn't be asked to speak, and that I think that's more scary for the other person than, because when it was with a girl that was not obviously used to bodybuilding, that was the first time they'd been through it with me or whatever. When I was with them, they just think you don't like them anymore.
Yeah, I think what have I done wrong?
Yeah, and they're like, no, and they're like, I don't get why are you talking it, because obviously they're not from a bodybuilding world, or they've never been to that level of body fat to where like it's just fucking like not fun. Real hard question to answer because I don't want to. There's so many different answers. It's person dependent on what the person is and how well you know them. And like, if they're just being a dick, then sometimes they just need to be
you just need to be told and
need
be like,
a rain check.
Not,
like you've been a dickhead, mate. Do you know what I mean? Or if they're just a bit generally grumpy and quiet, just leave them to it. Do you know what I mean? The main thing I wanted to be done is when I was dieting was just left alone.
Yeah.
Right, and that's not very nice, I suppose, on the female that's with you or whatever. Because they want attention and all the rest of it and blah, blah, blah. But as soon as they've had a couple of sausage rolls when the prep's over, they'll be sound. Don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Give them a couple of sausage rolls and fucking a bit of a cream bun and they'll be all right. Start talking to you again.
Yeah. I feel like if that was me though, and it was like they had a long time diet and left and they were actually being like an idiot, like not very nice, I feel like I would have to...
Yeah, there's no reason.
I would have to say something.
There's no reason.
But
if
someone's being a bit grumpy and a bit irritable, I'd be like, right, just whatever, crack on.
Yeah.
But if they were actually being horrible, like
there's
you don't,
no reason
no
for
matter
that.
what you're doing, like I don't think that's acceptable.
You need to have enough emotional control to realise, like, you're dieting, you're starving. Yeah, I feel like shit. I'm not going to take it out on everybody.
It's not fair. You can't just take out how you feel on everyone else.
I don't know this, but I feel like some people just use it as an excuse to be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just, I'm dieting, so
deal with it.
I don't give a fuck if you're dieting. You know what I mean? Like, what's that got to do with anything?
Yeah.
And generally, realistically, I mean, it should only really be about the last 3 weeks that it's like really brutal. Yeah. Like anything up to that, you can function perfectly normal as a normal person. There's no reason to be a dickhead outside of that like 3 week, maybe 4 week out point, depending on what level of conditioning you're trying to push to.
But there's a difference between being a bit tired and a bit quiet and a bit grumpy versus being a horrible person.
Yeah, and just taking it out on people and just saying horrible things and like. So this is what I mean. There's not enough context to like. And even if there was, I still wouldn't really want to directly comment on somebody's partner or whatever.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
No, I hear all sorts of things. Me, obviously, with like speaking to the lasses who I coach and all that, and the fellas, and like, they sometimes tell me stuff, and I think, don't say it out, damn. Just say nothing. Keep it in your head.
Don't get involved in the relationship.
No, and they'll say, what do you think? And I'll go, oh, well, I don't know, really.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massively, As you get further on in your life, you realise just comment on nothing and there's no backlash from it. Do you know what I mean?
You ain't getting in trouble then.
Yeah, because what happens is the person will go home and say, well, Dan said.
Yeah, you don't know that's happened, do you?
No, I just stay quiet.
So that's very specific. Tips and what to expect navigating show day alone. So this is basically a girl that has an online coach, but her coach isn't going to be there on her show day, and she's going to be at the show day by herself.
So we'd have to assume that it's your first show, otherwise you wouldn't be asking, probably, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that is quite a scary scenario to do a first show.
Yeah.
To be fair, my coach wasn't at my first show, but I had family and my partner there at the time with me, so that was okay.
Yeah, he was all right.
As long as your coach has got you set up, though, I think as long as your coach has got all your plans, you know exactly what you're doing, they've gone through like how, because when you first start, you don't know all the things like
on show
you
day
go
and stuff
backstage
like
and like how does the pump up work, like all the little things that you don't really think about.
Well, obviously you've received a number of my show weekend plans, so you know how mine works, and like I'm assuming this should work for the person that's listening to this as well. Mine's got everything in there: the times of the meals. I'll work out when they're going to be on stage, the times you got to eat across the day, how much fluid you're drinking at them times. Tell you what to do. There's a big thing telling you what to do when you go backstage, what to pump up, what to take with you, blah blah blah. And I'll run through all this with everybody, and that's when I'm at the shows. That's when I'm at the shows anyway, because I just think it's good to have that peace of mind to know exactly what you're doing. And if they've not told you this yet, you need to ask them, like, am I going to get this? Because fuck me, if it's your first show and you're just planning on just rocking up, like that's daunting. Do you know what I mean?
Well, even me, like when I've competed a few times, like I think I'd even be a bit, like if I was going in show day and I didn't have a plan, I'd feel a bit nervous.
Yeah, and you do hear this actually a bit where it's like they'll send them like the food meal by meal or like in the morning or whatever, and it's like, that's stressful. So I mean, I send it out, as you'll know, it's a full plan for the Saturday and Sunday, and it just says subject to adjustment. So then I just tell people what extra food to take. So this is what you want. Then you want a list of extra food that you need with you. In certain amounts, whether it might be, or if you just got a bag of it, so you know what food source is going to be used. Then you've got a base plan, so you've got the meals set out. And then all you need to do from a coach's standpoint then is tweak it, look at the physique. All right, just have a little bit more of this, or actually drop that out of that meal, or this, blah, blah, or just add a little bit to that or whatever. And then, I mean, even as a coach, that's way less stressful. I don't know how people want to do it.
I do mine exactly the same as how you do yours, because obviously I've learned from you.
Yeah, and it takes a lot. You want your client stress-free, basically. So you want to be stress-free. So, but apart from that, everything else is fairly straightforward, because if you're doing the federation, they should be looking after you anyways. They tell you where you're tanning you need to be. If you're doing your makeup, you need to know where to be. You just need to make sure you're there on them times. Obviously, you'll have your accommodation booked if you're staying over. You'll know what time you need to go register. So it's just a case of, I mean, I'm sure when you're going without your coach and not literally by yourself, so you've maybe got a friend with you or a partner or whatever, just make sure you've got a little bit of help on that department. Federation will take care of the TANs. Everything's sound. It should be well communicated to you what time to go backstage, where you need to be at what time. Just make sure you're hanging around the venue, not like some mad people going back to their room and chilling out and all that, like, and then they end up late back and they're rushing.
It's stressful.
It's just stress that you don't need. Loiter about at the venue, kick it there. Obviously, your coach should be backwards and forwards with you constantly on WhatsApp or whatever your communication platform is anyways. And just ask questions. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
if you go with like PCA, they're so on it anyway with like sending out your times for your TANs and all of that. So you'll have all that booked in before your show day anyway. So you'll know like the times and where you're at. And then they tell you everything there. So I think as long as you've got your plan for the day and the night before and you've got all that sorted with your coach, you're all right, really, aren't you? It is nice having your coach there on the day.
It'd be good to have your coach there, or at least like your partner or somebody to
just gives you a bit of reassurance,
and assistance. But I would like to think, personally, my clients are completely ready for the show in every aspect. Obviously the body's where it needs to be, which is obvious. They've got a plan for the full weekend. If I'm not going to be there and they're brand new to it, I've definitely spoken to them on the phone. As you know, quite often I'll ring up the night before and like, are we sound, blah blah blah, or the morning of the show if I'm driving to the show, whatever. I'll make sure everybody's sound. I don't think I'd ever be. I can't ever think of an instance where I've had a first time or I've not been there, unless it's something really obscure. You know, like they're living. France or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll live really far away and I've got like 5 clients at one show and then one at another. Do you know, like an instance like that, I suppose? That's a possibility. But
basically make sure you've got all your plans from your coach so you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's worth asking as well. I get this on consult calls, will you be at my show? And I'll always say, more than likely,
yeah. But I like going to watch them. I think, God, I'd be so nervous sat at home, like trying to figure out what was going on.
You can't be at all of them because obviously sometimes people are competing on different weekends. But I like to try and make sure I'm almost definitely at people's the
ones you can main
show, because they might do 3 or 4 shows and you can't necessarily go to all of them. But their main show, that was the main plan. Like, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I was at the finals and things like that. And be there anyways. But communicate that. Anyone who is watching, maybe communicate that on the consult. Like, will you be at my show? Because there's a lot that just don't go in there.
Yeah, there are, to be fair. Okay, that is the bulk of them. Okay, This one, quite a few comebacks this year. Who are you excited to see back on stage?
I don't know of any comebacks. Do you? Unless they mean people that have had a gap off.
Yeah. Maybe they mean people that have like had
an off season.
You know, like Shannon, she's done that year off and then she's like coming back. Maybe not that she had a break, but you know what I mean? People who haven't competed on the balance year on year.
Yeah, so she obviously Shannon did 2022 all year. And then she's had a good off season, and then we're coming back obviously for another category now. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that because I've obviously spent the full time working with her to get her where she needs to be to come back and make a splash in athletic, which I'm pretty sure she will. The way she's looking.
I can't think of it, not off the top of my head.
I don't pay that much attention to. Sounds bad, but I don't pay that much attention to people that are not my own clients. Like I say, social media is a ball ache for me anyway, so I don't really spend much time scrolling.
Kind of touches on what you said earlier. Like probably there's going to be so many people that are going to be against because of the clients you've got that are all competing.
Yeah,
there's going to be so many people that are just going to be against at some point. So.
Yeah, probably. I tell you, I'm looking a little bit forward actually to seeing Jade Whiteman.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember she did 2022 and she's tone figure, which was very top end tone figure, obviously at the finals. Like she was peeled and that. She's obviously made a push up into athletic. I'm actually keen to see what she looks like, just because she's a sound girl anyway. But I just like to see what people's improvements like that when it's noticeable, and they spend a bit of time in the trench because she's gone through what Shannon's gone through basically. But I believe she looks like I'm not certain, but she looks like she's doing the back end of the year, I think. Yeah.
I like it when people go up a category.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool to watch.
I love taking people up through the categories as well, obviously, that's the cool thing, actually. We're taking people from, like, I'll take them in through the season as toned, then they're like, I want to do athletic, and then we'll spend, like, a year off, and then we'll come back and do athletic. And that's usually, like, the end of the line. We don't usually really go into train. Not got too many going to train. The genetic freaks accidentally end up in trained.
Yeah. People that have a lot. Do you ever get anyone that has gone into athletic and then be like, oh, I want to go back to toned? Have you ever had to take anyone like down a category?
No, I never have. No, I hadn't. Not that I can think of, anyway. You got me thinking now. There might have been somebody who's come back after a few years and been like, I want to do it again, but I'll just have a go in. X, Y, Z or whatever, like a lesser category because they don't want to gain all the muscle back that they used to have. I think that's happened once, but I don't think.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, it has happened, but we didn't make it to the stage.
Okay, so the next question is, I think this is the last one actually that I've got anyway. Oh no, I'm sorry, I've got one more after this. Okay. Does Dan still have his male coach?
Oh, no.
Short answer.
Short answer, no. We went on with it for a few months, and it wasn't working out too well, so we decided just to stay with the all female team. Just the pathway categories that we was already doing without diversifying too much further. It's not something that I was already kind of doing, so it was a good idea at the time. But it didn't particularly work out.
You have to try stuff, don't you, and sort of see, and then at least you know, and then you can.
That was it. It was something that was in my head, and I wanted to try it, and then it didn't work out, and that was it, really. Yeah.
Got one more question.
Go on then.
If assistance doesn't assist a great deal in the off season or during a prep, why do people use assistance to assist at all? Then a little.
Is that something we've said?
I'm not sure whether this is something we've said or whether it's just a general thing, because
I feel like we might have said it, but not
said it in that way.
Not like that. Maybe it's been misconstrued with what we've been saying. Because the thing that I think I might have said was so what we do, or I do, with my clients, the ones that use assistance, is very, very minimal. So I feel like if you're talking about what I've said, which I'm not sure if you are talking about what I've said, but if you have, this is what I've said, but this is what I meant, right? In the broad scope of how much gear banging people do, what I do is very, 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 very minimal on that scale compared to what they do. I'm not saying that's not a nice difference between that and being natural. Yeah.
It's like that extra 1%, like, type thing.
Well, I mean, so it's so person dependent. Like I've got some total genetic natural freaks that like you'd think there was on gear. Do you know what I mean? I've got a good handful of them, which I could list off quite easily. But then for some people, it is essential that they need that little. Like some people just can't get in continence condition without clenbuterol, or without using some T3. The body's just, or they would maybe need to really go places
Yeah,
they want
the body
to
just doesn't naturally want to
just really
go
don't
to that
want to go there,
place.
whereas some people's will. And this is such a broad question. I don't really want to put like hammers onto it, like and lock it in as like this is the set answer. But to answer your question, if it is something that either I've said or Leah said and you've misconstrued, or it's just something because we didn't know actually what this was regarding, did we? But or if it's just something that everybody says, assistance does make a difference. What we do compared to what some other people do with the amount of gear that women use or types of gear that people use, there is a big difference because like this is a massive shifting from the tiny things that I keep all of my females very, very safe. As you'll know, they all talk feminine, walk feminine, look feminine. That's very important to me. The sound, it's the voice and things like that. I don't want to disrupt any of that. So what I do use is extremely minimal. That's not to say that don't make a nice difference in the visuals compared to a natural, because it definitely does.
Yeah.
But on a scope of things, I'm very much at this very, very, very bottom end, what you can get away with. Yeah. And then outside of that, other things that we're talking about, which might be like clenbuterol, T3 and T4 and whatever, thyroid control, and then like obviously clenbuterol for fat burning. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a difference. It makes a difference to where you have to plan the preps.
Yeah.
It makes a difference with muscle retention for the clenbuterol and stuff like that. If you was leaving anabolics out of it, like it definitely does make a difference. And I know they've said something on there about like naturals have to work.
Yeah,
like
it says that, natties work harder for longer. It's very unfair to suggest otherwise.
I won't say they work harder. I think everyone works equally as hard. They just don't get the same response that someone using assistance would.
Fair to say. Yeah.
So like there's no difference in how hard people work.
Yeah.
Depending on, I suppose, how you determine how hard it is. For me, it would be
the effort put into the prep.
Efforts put into the training, effort put into the prep, effort put into general off-season. For me, that's the same with everybody. Yeah. But the response that you get given back is not the same. Yeah. So I would agree that you would need to do that for longer in general to get the same response. That would be through a muscle gain. It takes you longer to gain muscle if you're not using anabolics on and off like some people will do. And through how frequently you can prep for a competition, because if you've had to drill yourself, so for a natural, like for someone who maybe struggles to lose weight, you might need to do preps over like a long period of time in different blocks and phases to get where you need to be.
Yeah.
And then the amount of time you spend recovering from that also might be even longer.
Just all the phases are probably going to be extended,
dragged out.
A little
So
bit
it's not ideally recommended to compete as frequently. This is why you see a lot of these natty taking like 3 years between shows and stuff like that, because they need all that time to recover and then getting them back to a sore point where they're ready to prep and all like that. So it's dragged out, but nobody's writing off, or in my opinion, nobody writes off how much harder it is as a natural to do everything you need to do. And there's outliers on every side of that as well. Like I say, I've got natural women that, if they want, could just compete year to year and probably get away with it. I've got some that might take 3 years in between, stuff like this and that.
I agree with what you've said.
Yeah, it's just...
Nothing more to add.
No, nothing more to add to the subject.
Yeah,
I think... I don't know if this person was asking about if things we've spoken about or not, but if it was in regard to anabolics, then it's just the scope of the amounts of things that people do and the types of harshness level that they use, if you want to call it that.
I get you.
How aggressive the anabolics are on a woman's body.
Yeah.
To what gives more of a response over a shorter period of time or whatever. But we respect the natties. I've got plenty of natty clients. Big up the natties. As you'll see as we're coming into like this season now with the PCA naturals and stuff, exactly, you're going to start seeing exactly how many natural clients I actually have, because I've got so many, and I've said this before, that don't want to do the natural feds. They're not bothered. They just want to do whatever because they're good enough to fit in wherever anyways. Not that other natural people aren't good that do the natty feds. That's not what I'm saying for a millisecond, but a lot of people want to do the natties because that's where all the other natties are.
Yeah.
I've got tons of natties who are just... they're not bothered. They just want to compete wherever. Whether it's against assisted people or not, they're not bothered. They just want to get on them stage, and there's going to be a lot of them coming through now over the next year and next. Yeah, I can already think of a good 4 or 5 off the top of my head who are jumping in this season who are very good.
Yeah.
Who've got no interest in doing actually any of the natural federations.
Yeah, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, that's all my cues.
That's all your cues.
Do you want any of yours or not?
Yeah, go on then.
Dip in and out of some ones you think will be good.
What I made the mistake of was not putting an NGL up.
Yeah.
Because...
to be fair, all mine this time, I got 1 on the NGL and all of them came through
that's mad,
the link, which is usually the opposite of what it goes, because people don't want to know People obviously don't want us to know who said it.
Yeah. If you were an animal, what would you be and why?
A sausage dog.
A sausage dog? Really? Walking that low to the floor and risking a broken back all the time. Yeah, but you don't want to be one.
I would. You get cuddling loads.
Okay. I think I would be probably just a gorilla. Yeah. They look like they've got a good life, haven't they?
Pretty
just
chilled.
sat there. Nobody really fucks with them. They just eat stuff all the time. Roll around, pick some fleas off the kids' heads. That's pretty much me now, actually. Apart from I don't eat grass. Well, I do actually. I eat a lot of vegetables now. What's been your biggest lesson in coaching?
Oh, that's a good one. I'll need to think about that. I wish you'd asked me that earlier.
Yeah.
Have you got one that you can think of?
It's a fucking non-stop lesson. I learn things every single year in regards to human behaviour, how things respond with protocols that we use. I literally had this conversation just yesterday, actually, funnily enough. I was it this morning? I think it was this morning. I never stop trying to make things better.
Yeah.
I'm always like, so I'll notice from all you guys last year that competed in 2023, I took loads off that. And I'll take that straight into 2024 with all these guys. With you guys that competed in 2023, I took fucking loads from 2022 and brought that into you lot. And I brought from them what I'd picked, and it just never stops getting refined. I think if you was to stop doing that and just stuck to doing what you was always doing, don't get me wrong, I never make any massive shifts in...
Just little tweaks.
Yeah, just little things that I'll notice, little things on peak week, or little things that I need to pay more attention to through the off-season so that we get a better prep, or little things that I need to pay more attention to while I'm going through the prep so that I can give people a better reverse. Little things that might go wrong with certain individuals on a reverse, so I can pay more attention to it next time. Give people more pre-warnings on things of protocols. It literally never stops.
That's how it should be as a coach, though, because the more you coach, the more experience you get, the more people you work with and different people. You just learn as you go, don't you, all the time? And
you started to notice certain people. Oh, she's a bit like that client that I can see how her brain ticks on this. Blah 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 blah. And it's cliche, isn't it? But experience is king on everything.
Yeah.
So. I started coaching, but not officially really. Probably I think 2009 was the first time I ever prepped somebody, and then 2013 I'd say I properly started. Was like my proper start. 2012. I was just prepping random people in between then, so I wasn't paying much attention to what I was doing. And every year since then, I've changed, and that's why sometimes. Sometimes you get someone give you shit and it'll be like, about a prep you did in 2017, and I'm like, yeah, that was 2017. Well, you told me to do this. And I'm like, well, that was like 8 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Give me a break. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's constantly, and you'll be the same, obviously, with obviously doing the bodybuilding now, and obviously, I imagine massively with the lifestyle stuff. Like you're picking up on behaviours, you're picking up things, little things that you can do to put in as blockers to stop people doing this or that, or you're noticing little things you notice on show day now, things like to tell, like one big one that I picked up on the last couple of years, which is actually quite interesting, is just the tanning. So like I know now if I've got a ghost, like we've got a tanning procedure that we run. That I'll tell them like what they need to be doing from like 3 days out. Make sure they're tanned enough. Because otherwise, if you proper white, you get these girls usually from Scotland actually, and they're like super white. They try and do the tanning all in one go on the day before, and the tan just goes to shit. Yeah. So I've actually got like a tanning thing in place now that we've put together where you have to sort blah 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 blah. I've just tried to
like
have
little bits
every
that help.
Single possible base that's ever gone wrong for me covered. Yeah. Get what I mean? Even down to wearing things like big stupid fucking earrings on stage that you don't normally wear, that then get caught in your new extensions, and it fucks up the way you fling your hair about when you're posing because it's stuck in your like just everything you can think of has gone wrong. It's gone wrong for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'll be sat there years past, and I'll be looking at thinking, that's just fucked up the full stage appearance now because they've done something like this. I'll be saying, what are you doing with your hair? Blah, 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 blah. Why are you clipping all these mad big extensions in when you don't normally wear it if you practice posing? Yeah. And them extensions, do you know how to move your hair with this? Why have you got that big bracelet on? Is that not going to get caught in your extension? Yeah. Do you know, like, just shit that goes wrong? Yeah.
picked up on.
And I think that's why people like, he's got a lot of attention to detail. Like, no, I've just had a lot of shit go wrong.
And I don't want that to happen again.
And when I'm watching my clients on stage, it literally, I just want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely flawlessly perfect. I think every little detail matters massively. So, yeah, down to your posing suit, down to your hair, down to whatever random. Should we talk about all the mad shit that people try and do on show day when they literally look a certain way all year and then all of a sudden they decide to want to look like a different person?
They want a huge
when they're on stage. Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it.
I think I literally had my hair like this on my shoe.
Yeah. Do you know why, Leah? Because you've got nice hair. Why would you need to change that lovely nice hair into like fucking bouffant curls and like something sticking out here? Then you've got like these big, like you don't. It's not a night out. It's not an 80s revival thing. You don't need to. You don't need to do that. Just please, just keep some advice for you all. Sleek and simple. Judges don't give a fuck about your hair. They don't give a fuck about your makeup. They don't give a fuck about your fingernails or your toenails or nothing. All they care about is your physique and that you look presentable.
Yeah.
So if you've got nice hair, it doesn't necessarily need to be longer.
Yeah.
If you've got nice hair, it doesn't need to be in curls or changed because you're not going on a night out. It doesn't make...
Just keep it simple.
Yeah, the more away from simple that you get, the worse it looks.
Yeah.
In my opinion. If you need to put it in a ponytail, put it in a ponytail. I used to be quite against that because that's the way things was back then. I was more for like the Olympia bikini type. It all needs to, do you get what I mean? But things have changed, and if you want to have a ponytail,
a lot of people do that now, don't they?
Yeah, I think it looks better in the muscular category. So if you're doing more like athletic as opposed to tone, I think it looks a lot better. Now, some of them have them in them little things that you have, like a little
space bumps.
Mickey Mouse or whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, some advice for anyone who's watching: keep it the fuck simple, especially with anything that's going to interfere with. You practice your posing every single day. And then 2 days out, you clip in these big things into the bottom of your hair that now is twice the length of your hair. Put these massive earrings in that you're not used to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly.
All of a sudden, you're in a quarter turn doing the side pose that you've worked so hard for. There's a big piece of dead person's hair hanging over your feet, like covering your. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you've just ruined everything you've worked for because you wanted your hair to be a little bit different to what it normally is.
Yeah.
Like it don't make no odds.
Yeah.
Trust me, it don't make no odds.
Just let loads of you gone.
That was a bit of a tangent, but it's something that I get trapped up in all the time.
Yeah.
I still get blindsided by it with some people, and I'm like, "Who's that? What they got? What?" Yeah.
Are they the same person?
Yeah, I felt really bad for this client actually the other week. It was a client that I took on from like 6 weeks out. I tried saving her prep the best I could. She ended up winning the wellness in the Scottish actually.
Okay.
Yeah, she did all right enough. She wasn't quite where she needed to be, which I told her before she went on.
Yeah.
She'd booked a flight, she'd booked all this stuff. So I just said, look, you look all right, go crack on. She actually ended up winning. And she checked in on the day and she had these massive earring things in. And they were the same colour as her suit. Like she'd done it to match, obviously.
Right.
And I felt like wanker. But I was like, you can't wear them. And she didn't even question actually, she just took them out. Which told me afterwards she paid like 70 quid to get these earrings made to match a suit. It looked like it was out the same material. It was all the same colours. But they were massive. It was just so distracting from what she was presenting. It would have just
taken away from like the look.
Like massively. So I said, you're going to have to set them out. They're ruining your look.
Yeah.
And she told me after, she said, they were £70. I was like, sorry, but...
Yeah, better to be honest then.
Yeah, I needed to tell you, like, it was worked out well. She won and all that, but... I felt a bit tight. Never mind.
Worked out right in the end. Yeah. I think mine's probably similar to yours in the sense of like you learn as you go. But I think when I started, because I don't know if you were like this when you started, but I had like the perfect idea of like you get someone and then you think, oh, I can do X, Y, Z with them and then they'll look like this. And like when I started, you forget that people are human and they have like, they struggle with certain things or they've got a kid and they can't do it that way or they work XYZ hours. So for me, it was like, I used to give people all this information. I'd be like, oh, this will be amazing. Like they'll get such great results. And then they'll come back and be like, oh, like I can't do it that way because of this. So for me, it's been like, there's so many different ways you can do things.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I have some clients that follow meal plans. I have some clients that do like a bit of hybrid thing where they'll have macros for some meals and then set meals for other meals. So I do that with a lot of clients. It works really well.
Yeah,
they'll have like
give people that option.
Yeah, it works really nice. Yeah. Or I do that for a lot of people that are like lifestyle, but they're a bit more advanced. So I trust them to track the food and stuff.
Yeah.
But then they might have like 4 or 5 options for each meal and I'll just calorie match them for them. So then they can mix it up a bit more. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me that's like changed is I used to do when I started out, when I was like late teens, early 20s, I'd do it all the same way. Whereas now it's like every person is like has a slightly different approach.
Yeah, it's just very much like, that's why I'm just very much like, let's see how we go.
Yeah.
And then just follow the response.
Yeah,
and then see what you're getting from that, change it if you need to. You can't always put dead timelines on everything. This is going to happen then, this is going to happen then. I think if you are someone that says, this will happen, then this, and this will happen.
Yeah. But when you start out, I just hadn't, when you want it to go a certain way.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like when people say, right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to lose 12 pounds across this time. Yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll do this across this time and you're going to gain this amount of muscle. Like,
you just can't plan it like that, can you?
That's a bullshitter, like.
Yeah.
Well, I've been told this and this, and I'm like, well, let's just see how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a non-stop learning curve. I love it, though.
I was just going to say, I really like it.
I always say that. I say to everyone, and I'll just say, I'm better than I was last year, not as good as I will be next year.
Yeah.
And that never ends. Hopefully. Maybe there's an end point. Maybe it's as good as you'll ever get, and then you start going backwards. Back in the lunatic asylum.
I like doing all the courses and stuff that I do, and you get like, I've done loads of stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think because I liked school and I liked doing the studying and the learning, I've carried on doing that, but with like nutrition and all that sort of stuff. I like doing all that. I find it really interesting.
Yeah, I never followed any like set courses really. I'm just very much like self-taught.
Yeah.
Well, I am self-taught anyway. I'm self-taught. Obviously, I worked with a coach when I was younger who taught me the very basics, like what carbs to eat and what this and what that. And I actually feel quite lucky that I'm from the school where they had no MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
I knew exactly how much carbs was in sweet potato, white potato, rice, oats, blah, 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 like everything like that.
Yeah.
How much protein's in this meat, that fish, fat, blah, blah, blah. I learned that without... So when people are like... I think they think I'm mental when I'm not like tallying up the calories and stuff like that. And they're like, but it's all in my brain. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. To be fair, that did blow my mind, not in a negative way, but when we first started working together and I'd never worked with a coach who like took the food off and not the calories off.
Yeah.
So it was just a different way of doing it. Because you were like, have like X amount of grams less of this. And I was like, yeah, but what are the calories? Because I'd come from like I'd come from MyFitnessPal background.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
I think everyone does panic with that at first.
Yeah.
I'll send people out the plans and it'll be a meal plan and they'll go, all right, I'll put it into MyFitnessPal. And I'm like, you don't need to.
Just follow your
plan. They're like going to do that every day. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't expect, well, it's the same every day. So like, well, you're just going to get the same thing every day. It's not telling you anything.
Yeah.
I don't send out the calories or anything like that and things like, because it's like, you got to remember, those measurements came off the foods. The foods didn't come off their measurements.
Yeah.
So the calories and the macros and everything like that, that information obviously is taught and learned at the beginning, but then that's given out to people to learn how to use the food.
Yeah.
Do you get what? It's not the other way around. People didn't make the food fit the macros. It went back to front. So like when I'm working, I just work with food amounts. I know how much obviously protein everything's in, everything like that. Yeah. We learned all that early on. But then after you've got your set point, you're just going up and down with everything anyway. Protein remains, carbs and fats go up and down, and depending on how you want somebody to look, you pull from the carbs and fat sources or lift from the fats and carb sources or whatever and pump like that. So like the number that you attach to it,
it doesn't really matter that much, right? Because if you've got someone on a set plan and you know this is the food you're eating, you can then see how they respond.
Precisely
and then
that,
you'll know, right, do they need more food? Do they need less food? And then you adjust it. So it doesn't actually matter what the calories come out as. It's more like, right, you're eating this consistently, see how you go, adjust it from there.
Yeah, and then those guidelines that everyone gets given were built from the food plans.
Yeah.
And then they're right, this is what works for this. This is the amount of ratio that you want to be doing for this. And so when everyone learns now, the people coming into the game, they learn the numbers, because then they need to know how much food.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas I came from a time when it was the other way around, where you got the food and then obviously that was the amount of protein and carbs and that equates from that. So I just work from the food. Yeah. And then people go, how much is this and this and this and this? And I'm like, obviously I can rack it off from what they are, but that blows people's heads that I can just work like that.
Yeah.
Or they'll I had this woman once say to me, I give her a food plan. This is when I worked in the gym. And I did look at her, see what she looked like needed to do, see what she kind of been doing, write her out a food plan. She was come back and she was like, how did you work all of that out? This is the next session. I was like, what do you mean? I said, I just wrote your food plan for you. I know what you need. And she's like, well, I went home and I typed in my this and my blah, 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 and all that to see how much I needed. And it was the exact right amount of macros and calories for what I needed. I was like, no shit.
That was the goal.
No shit. She was like, I can't believe you can just do that in your brain. I'm like, well, that's how I learned in my brain.
Yeah, because you know what's in what food, don't you?
Yeah, I never learned where you like write it all and then figure out.
Yeah.
Like I learned it the other way around.
There's that whole thing at the minute, isn't there? Around, I don't know if you've seen this on social media much, but that whole thing around tracking your calories is obsessive. Like it makes you.
You see all this shit all the time, don't you?
Because of like the whole intuitive eating thing.
Well, staying in shape is obsessive, unfortunately. So if you want to be out of shape, unfortunately, we live in a world where it's very easy to get out of shape.
Yeah.
There's so much shit food everywhere in everybody's faces that if you want to look after your health and all the rest of it,
it does take a bit of effort and a bit of consistent.
If you call tracking out what you're putting into your body obsessive, then that's obsessive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I don't believe it is. Yeah. Obviously, it can spiral, and I'm not saying it can't spiral, and people can become too over obsessed with it. But unless you want to live a lifestyle which is only whole foods, because it's very difficult to overeat whole foods.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're just deciding to eat plenty of protein, only healthy fats, and maybe some carbs from rice, has to be like brown rice or wild rice or whatever it is.
It would be more restrictive because you'd be going by like
if you want and vegetables and all like that. That's going to be quite difficult to become a fat person. But if you want to live in a lifestyle where you still want to have your treats, you still want to have your processed food, you still want to have this and that.
Have the odd meal out, whatever.
Meals out, which 95% of people will do, 99% of people will do, then you're going to need to keep some track of it if you want to stay in shape. Like, get off yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also think like so many people don't have the like what you just said. Then I can look at a food and be like, oh no, that's roughly X amount of calories, X amount of protein. I know that's got decent fats in it, the carbs, whatever. But you know, you're only going to learn that if you spend time actually learning it, which comes from tracking it. So it's like for 90% of the population that don't have that knowledge. Like you have to track your feed to actually give you that knowledge. Like you're not just going to be able to intuitively be like, oh, I want to get leaner for my wedding, and then just magically be able to do it. Like there's got to be some form of
so
keeping track of
it. Eating would work for you.
Yeah, I could intuitively eat and lose weight. I'd feel pretty confident.
I do that. I don't track anything. Even if I want to drop a bit of fat off, I'll just pull a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's really easy. But for the average person, there's just. I mean, it's just obvious, like, the food industry is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like, nothing fills you up. It's designed to make you more hungry. It's full of calories. So unless you know what you're doing, you're screwed, really. Yeah. You have a bun and it's got, like, 500 calories in it. And that's like a third of your day's calories if you wanted to lose weight. If you sat there at 1,500 calories trying to drop some fat, you're going to be absolutely starving your git off. Yeah. So there's going to be nothing intuitive that comes with that. Your intuition is going to tell you to eat more food because you're starving. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it comes from education and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Intuitive and like people. Oh God, we're going on one now.
It's tangent.
And people's brains work differently. Yeah. People got different natural hormone levels, which tell you when you're hungry or not hungry. Some people don't like eating that much. They just don't like eating. Yeah. So them the people that are naturally slim generally. I don't think it's down to necessarily a genetic of physicalness. What are you laughing at? Yeah, Leah is never full. I don't think I've ever heard her once say she's full in my life. And I've packed some calories into this girl as well. And she's like, no, I'm fine. How's appetite? Fine. How's appetite? Fine.
I was just sat there thinking, God, if I tried to diet without tracking, I'd probably start gaining weight.
Yeah, you probably, I'm being intuitive.
I just don't fill up.
But that's what I mean. But that could be, if you had a taste for bad foods, you'd probably be fat as a knacker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think
I would. Like if I didn't have knowledge and I just ate, if I didn't understand nutrition and I just ate like to be full, I would be very overweight.
Yeah.
Because I like food. I get a lot of enjoyment out of eating food, and I don't fill up very easily.
Yeah. And then you'd be picking the high calorie stuff as well.
So if I didn't know that and I was eating from appetite.
So everyone's different with that. So you'll see some, I don't really think loads of it comes down to physical genetics. I think there's fractions at either end, which is quite like probably, as we always say, 5% at the bottom end, 5% at the top end, where it's a genetically physical thing. Yeah. I think everybody in the middle, personally, I think it's a bit of a mental, where you are mentally, and with like how hungry you are, how not hungry you are, if you're a stress eater or not a stress eater. Yeah. So I don't know which way you're around, but like if I'm overly stressed or like anxious because there's a lot going on or something really bad's happened, say like somebody's died or something like that, like I can't eat. Yeah. I physically can be putting food in my mouth and I can't even chew it because like it's that bad. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've not been like that many times in my life, but we've all been there.
I'm like that as well.
Whereas other people, all they'll fucking do is eat and get depressed and they just start
That's
smashing.
Really common, isn't it, though?
Yeah. And I was looking, I think, I don't even know how you can eat. Cause, like,
see, I used to be like that. That's how I used to cope with stress. Like, I used to emotionally eat But now I don't. I think since I've been able to improve that relationship with food side of things.
Yeah, I go the reverse way.
Yeah, it does go
Them weeks last year leading to the British, and this is what I needed to be more mindful of this year, which is why I changed myself at the beginning of this year. Them last weeks leading to the British last year, I was eating like one meal a day.
Yeah.
I just couldn't eat because
Yeah.
I was just go with everything, like with all you lot and all the rest of it. And like, I get that into like a hyperdrive type thing where I'm sleeping and barely anything. I was barely sleeping. I was eating one meal a day. My brain was just in hyper to make sure you lot was all fucking dead on for that weekend. So for them, like 10 days or whatever around that, I think I fucking hardly eat.
Yeah.
I felt like shit. That's why I changed everything at the beginning of this year to make sure, and it's written on my like big board at home, like do not change your habits.
Yeah.
So that when I know when I go into like times of busyness, do not change your habits. I need that in there in big writing in my kitchen, so that I make sure I'm eating if I don't feel like it. I train if I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
'Cause you know what it's like when you're busy. Like first thing to go out the window, but I don't need to eat. I don't need to train like, and then the rest. Then it has a knock-on effect into the rest of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's locked in there. Do not change your habits.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, really, but intuitive eating, yeah, if you know what you're doing.
Works for the right people, but not for your average person that needs to...
Everyone's got intuition, and this sounds awful, but the majority of the public's fat. So the majority of the public's fat now. It's becoming more like it is in America, where everyone's kind of out. You don't want to say this, do you? Leah's gone into, I'm not saying that. That's a bit controversial. Her lips go like this. Every time I do it, when I say something controversial, I just look at Leah and she goes,
I don't like it.
I'm not saying anything now. You can say all this, Dan.
I'll just
but
sit there and nod.
It's true.
No, I know what you mean.
Like,
though.
it's true. It's just, and like, don't get me wrong. I don't give a shit. Like, really, it's up to them what they do. Like, I'm not like worried about.
No, yeah.
If people want to be fat, let me fat. I ain't bothered. I'm not saying like, oh, it's bad to be fat and all this. If they're happy, they're happy. It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
But like, everyone's got intuition.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain, I'd say 90% of them people that are fat probably don't want to be fat. It just happens because of the side effects of life or whatever.
Yeah.
So they had no intuition in that.
Yeah.
There was no intuition. They've just made themselves fat. Do you know what I mean? And they probably don't want to be, which sounds all like sitting from a high horse, whatever the saying is. You know, like
I know what you mean.
Like I'm not judging people for being. I honestly don't care. It's up to them what they want to do. But I don't believe they want to be like that. And I think if they could click a button or click the fingers, and then be in shape, a lot of them would be. Do you get what I mean?
It does. If you look at like the effort required to get in good shape and then stay in good shape all year round, like it is a lot of ongoing effort, like even to maintain it as well. Yeah,
I think so. And I can see this coming out of bodybuilding now. So obviously you're still in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
When I come away from bodybuilding, my mindset was, I don't care. I don't care if I'm out of shape. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you saw me go through this actually for a couple of years where I was training, hit and miss.
Yeah.
I've been through this before. I won't go over it all again, but there was no point to training because I wasn't competing. So I didn't see any point in being there, blah, 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 blah. And it just come to a point where I thought, I feel fucking shit.
Yeah.
I felt shit. So everything I do now is actually got nothing to do with the way I look. It's to do with the way I feel.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. So that's why I eat well all the time. That's why I've cut out all processed foods now pretty much through the week. Don't get me wrong, I still have a bit like pop or
like the odd thing.
Whey protein now and again or whatever, but generally 90% of what goes into my body is not processed anymore. Because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm not like, it's not for a laugh, or it's not like, oh, I need to see my abs or anything like that. I'm not that bothered. I feel great and I want to be fit and I want to be healthy.
Yeah.
And that's actually my driver for it. And I think if the perspective probably shifted with the public to how, if they got a little taste of how good that can actually make you feel, they'd probably get addicted to that.
Yeah, and
over chasing a look.
Yeah, and you think as well, a lot of people, because I'll get this with women all the time, a lot of people associating like eating well and like eating healthily with like dieting and losing weight.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, well, if I'm not trying to lose weight, I'll just do what I want. Like I don't need to eat well, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think that's where the perspective needs to probably shift a little bit. And this was a lesson for me, to be fair. Because I bodybuilded from being 18 until I was 35 or 36, whatever it was, a couple of years ago. So I knew no different. I ate those foods anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because I was trying to, that's what you eat for bodybuilding. So when I come away from it, I thought, not that bothered. It was never for my lifestyle thing. It was just for a goal. But then I've come away from that and God, I felt like dog shit. You know what I mean? My brain didn't work properly. My thinking was fuzzy. I felt unfit. I just felt like crap. My joints felt like shit. So that's why I've gone back to doing what I'm doing. And I think if everyone could get a little taste of that for a bit, because thinking about it, and you'll get this, like it's kind of obvious to bodybuilders as well, because the first half of your prep, you feel class, don't you?
Yeah, the first half's like you start to get a bit fitter, like you're doing a bit of cardio, you're eating a bit less food, like your energy's good.
Yeah, and all of these things are like the things that are related to you feeling good. So you're doing some cardio, which is great for your mind.
Yeah.
You're restricting yourself, but not too much on your food, which I believe it's good for the human body and brain to feel some hunger as well.
Yeah.
I think that's
a bit more switched on work-wise as well.
I think that's a natural signalling thing that we should be feeling. I don't think we should go through periods where we're always satiated.
Yeah.
I think from just the way you feel standpoint, it's good to appreciate your meals.
Yeah, make sure you enjoy them. Like when you
look forward to your meals that you've got. Like I think it's good for your brain personally. And you just generally feel really bright. Your sleep gets better.
Yeah.
Like everything's good in the middle ground. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, you start feeling a bit better because you like lost a little bit of weight. And you start leaning up a bit.
You're not as heavy. So like that actual first half of the prep is like.
I get to like 10 weeks out. I'm like, I'll just stay. I quite like this.
I'm going to do this all year. And then you never do because you go back to doing your off season and whatnot.
Yeah.
But actually looking back, and that's where my brain is now. I want to live in that.
Yeah, that nice middle ground.
Yeah, that like.
Before you get to the fuck stage.
Like 13 to 9 week out, that kind of like phase where you're feeling optimal but not fucked. Yeah. That's where I kind of want to live.
Yeah,
and that's a really nice place to live.
Yeah.
So, if anyone's thinking about it, just give it a try on how it makes you feel. And then just looking for, like I have a cheat meal every Sunday. I look forward to it. I properly look forward to it. I'm not saying I don't like junk food, because I do, but I don't like it the way it makes me feel. This morning I feel like a bit sluggish, a bit like water. Do you know, like just a bit shit from eating it yesterday, but I enjoyed it when I had it, don't get me wrong. But just having something to look forward to once a week in itself is like, that's good
just
for you.
a nice meal
that's
out
good for you.
or something.
Do you know what I mean?
I like doing it that way, to be fair. Like I like going out, having what I want, like on Friday. I normally do Friday or Saturday night. Like I went to mum's on, when did it go? Friday night, and she made like a homemade lasagna, and then we had like pudding. You know, like stuff, just being able to do stuff like that. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's classy.
And then the other times I can just crack on with my meals or, whatever.
Eat like yourself and you feel good in general. But
I
don't know how did we get talking about that?
We were talking about intuitive eating, and then
it
went on from there, didn't it?
That's my input to it for where I'm at anyway in my life and how I feel with everything that I do. But I think it's difficult to get people to want to give up junk food. But I think if they just did I think the other thing is as well, so this is actually another part of it. We associate giving up junk food with dieting and dieting with hunger.
Yeah.
And this is why my brain never really went there with it initially, because obviously of all the preps and stuff like that. But there's a middle ground which is really comfortable. And if you're not, you can just change all your food sources around and not even worry about it too much. So me, for like intuitive eating now, I don't even know what, I could sit and add it up, but I don't know what calories I'm eating. I don't know exactly how much protein, fats and carbs, but I'm eating a decent amount, do you know what I mean? And I started doing that since Christmas, and it's now just got into May or whatever. I'm actually the same body weight as I was. This is a mad one. I'm actually the same body weight, but I look like a completely different person. I've gained obviously a decent bit of muscle back. I've got some condition markers for I've got good abs and everything like that again.
Probably fitter and stuff.
Yeah, a lot fitter and just fit. But what's more important is I feel 1,000 times better, 1,000 times better than I did when I started, and that's what's important.
Yeah. I know a few girls that intuitively eat, but I give them like habits. So I'll say try and hit like X servings of protein over the day. Like make sure each meal has got like 2 to 3 types of fruit or veg in it. Yeah. So that can work quite well with people that have got like know what a protein serving looks like or know what foods are high in carbs or whatever. That can work quite nice.
So it's
like
education first, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I suppose after a long while they can intuitively eat.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing it a long time, but
yeah.
if somebody could do it off the bat, they wouldn't have got there. They wouldn't be asking for help to start with. They'd just be in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think intuitive eating is something that works off the back of putting the time into actually having the knowledge in the first place.
Yeah.
And getting yourself in a good spot. And then you can, like, in another, 10 years, like, I'll probably just maintain where I'm at and just intuitively eat. But that's because I've got all the knowledge from, I know how to build muscle, I know how to lose fat, and then I can just sit in a place where I'm just maintaining in a good spot all year round.
So if you was a builder and you'd been a builder all of your life, from when you was 15 when you left school to being, say you're 55, I reckon you could intuitively build a house.
Yeah.
Like, take it, you need to...
That's a good way of putting it, actually.
You need to work some stuff out, don't get me wrong, but you've done it 1,000 times. You've been an house builder all your life.
Yeah.
You've obviously worked off plans from the people that give you the plans to what they want for the specification. Yeah. But if you was given all the materials that you could possibly get your hands on and you'd built 1,000 houses, pretty sure you could go and knock a house up.
Whereas if you got a builder someone that had never built a house, 21, they wouldn't just build a house.
If you was 21 and you just come out your time, you've worked with your builder person who you've been learning off as an apprentice for the last 5 years since leaving school, you reckon you could go and build an house? No, you fuck. You might have the skills to be able to do it. You might be able to lay the bricks, put the woodwork together, do the plastering, put the plumbing in. You might have been able to gain all them skills, but you're not going to be able to put it all together as one thing on a regular basis. You need the plans.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's really
the same thing. Hey, that could be a reel, you know.
Of course. I like that.
You'll have to have it, though, because I'm not lifestyle. Okay. You can have my reel, just put your...
Photoshop my face
no, you can have my face, but do your voice.
Oh, God.
Should we draw a line under that one?
Yeah, I feel like that was a good one.
Yeah, we've got a few questions out there. And then when we'll be back? When will we be back then? Next one's a live one.
Oh, we've got a live one.
Yeah.
Actually, this might be released. The live one might already be out by this point.
I don't know. Is that getting released live? Not getting released live, is it?
We can release the live one after this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll release the live one after this one. So we've got a live one at Sanaya's stage workshop.
Which is this Saturday, isn't it?
Yes. Sorry.
Don't frighten me.
It's this Saturday. I was just thinking, it's because I was still thinking we were in last week. Yeah, so we're doing a live podcast. So we're getting like questions from everyone at the workshop.
Yeah.
And then we're going to whack that up as a little extra one, which will be cool.
Yeah. Wicked.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. Be good.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I don't know how I feel about doing that in front of an audience. If there's people there, it's going to be there'll be like loads of people sat over there.
Yeah, I know.
Or over there. And they'll just be like this. That's what people look like, you know, when you're doing like a seminar or whatever. You just look into the crowd and you can just see this.
Yeah, that was like me, you know, when I did that that workshop. They were all just sat there looking at me. I was like, oh my God, everyone hates it.
Or worse, and I'll call her out on this one, Charlotte Wood, who's one of my clients who comes to the posing workshops. She smirks.
What do you mean?
She smirks at me while I'm talking. So I'll be talking, she doesn't know, I don't think she knows she's doing it. I said to her, what was she smiling at? She was like, I didn't know I was. I'll be talking away and there's like 30 odd people in there or whatever when we do the posing workshops. And I look at Charlotte and she'll be going, but you know, not like a nice friendly smile, like he's saying something stupid smile. So she'll be like, and I'm like, she's making me real paranoid. Charlotte's been with me. Charlotte actually goes out with my best mate, Dan. I know her real well. She's been my client since 2018, I think. So maybe like 6 years ago. I know her real well. Do you know what I mean? But she'll just be smirking. And I'm thinking, what's she smirking at? And I'm thinking, have I got something on my head? It's easy though when you've got a place full of people and you're talking. Don't you? It's easy to get like distracted, and then you think fuck, and then you forget what forget what you're saying. Luckily, I just say whatever, and it doesn't matter. I just blend it through. But she's calling her out on that one. See, Woody, you're getting called out. She knows the drill. Says to her, why are you smiling at me? I think I was.
It's just my face.
It's just my face. This is a friendly face.
At least she's not frowning at you.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
But yeah, so next one's going to be live, and yeah, basically subscribe.
We can release that before if we want, I suppose.
We'll see. We'll see how it flows. Doesn't have to be an episode number, does it? We can blend it in, I suppose. That can be a bonus episode. But yeah, subscribe. Got YouTube, obviously Spotify, Apple. Get involved with the question boxes. When we put the question boxes up, ask us.
Yeah, I'll put an NGL link up. It'll let all the passive-aggressive people attack me as well. Yeah. Every time I put an NGL up, I just get attacked by passive-aggressive people. And I'm like, ooh. You can't actually offend me, by the way, because the worse it is, the more I laugh.
I don't touch wood. Like, I haven't had any.
Man act real bad. I get a few like bit of ribbons and stuff like that, and it's just like, it's just part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll be back with the live one.
See you soon. I can't do that. I'm going to click with one hand.